Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. Alright, y'all, as y'all know, following Megan Anderson, her loss this past Saturday to Amanda Nunes, she's no longer under her UFC contract. That was her last fight. And she actually took to Twitter and said that, she's no longer under contract, but she also stated that the featherweight division was done as well. But UFC officials, they took to media and they went online and they basically stated that Megan Anderson is no longer with the UFC. She's no longer in the UFC contract, but the featherweight division isn't gone. It isn't dead. It hasn't dissolved yet. So with that, Megan Anderson, she's out of there, but I'm assuming that the UFC is gonna still keep the featherweights around. What featherweights they have, but I'm thinking that hopefully that this is gonna put this into perspective and make them kind of rethink things and hopefully start to actually rebuild the featherweight division now. Because I've seen other women take to social media and say, hey, we're out here. Fighters like Chelsea Chandler, even Pam Bam, she stated that she wanted to see Megan Anderson win if it meant keeping the featherweight division alive, especially when Amanda Nunes said they can retire the division after she beats Megan Anderson. They've had other women out there state, yeah, we're out here, just sign us. So with them saying that the featherweight division is still going to be around, hopefully that does work out and hopefully they change it. I mean, it's going on 4 years now, so I'm not getting my hopes up, if you will. But back to Megan Anderson. Now that she's no longer in the UFC contract, I mean, it's not really like a bad thing. It's not even like a dark cloud, especially for those on the outside looking in, just because since she came into the UFC, like almost 3 years ago now, it hasn't been like a big milestone for her. Of course, everybody that wants to sign to the UFC, they say, oh, we're signed to the UFC, we're like this big fighter, it gets you more Instagram followers, but it doesn't necessarily make you the best fighter in the world just by signing to the UFC. With that being said, Megan Anderson, she's never really developed herself into like this force in the UFC, or never came close to being like this, danger to Amanda Nunes or Chris Cyborg, So with her being gone, I think it might actually be a good thing, because to me, I've said this before, I feel like she was kind of rushed into the UFC after she won the Invicta belt. She never went back and defended the belt. She never made like a big statement fighting some more common opponents of Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes. She never like fought any more contenders that would work her way up. She jumped right into a Holly Holm fight after a year layoff and got dominated, and skipped out on the Chris Cyborg fight, ducked out on the Chris Cyborg fight. So her signing to the UFC was more just of a entertainment thing, and like I said, just kind of a stock builder for her. But as far as growth as a fighter, it wasn't there. So now that she's no longer with the UFC, she could kind of go back and rebuild if she wants to. She can kind of go back to square one and say, okay, let me go to another organization where there's an actual thriving featherweight division or a weight that's closer. PFL. With the PFL, she wouldn't have to make such a harder weight cut on her. Her being a larger woman, she wouldn't have to worry about cutting down to 145 if she's having trouble. She could cut down to lightweight. PFL has lightweight, which is 155. So that wouldn't be too hard on her, and I'm sure they would take her. Because they would be a former UFC contender. She would bring in more popularity to that growing division. With other fighters like Kayla Harrison, Clarissa Shields, Caitlin Young's been signed over there, Laura Pacheco. All of those fighters. So she could kind of add to that. And another option is the featherweight division in Bellator. At least there's a structured division where she could fight her way up, take on some common opponents of Chris Cyborg. Whether she'll fight Chris Cyborg or not, I don't know, but at least she could build herself up and maybe along the way get that confidence to actually feel like a legit contender for the champion here. Because think about it, when she was in the UFC, fighting somebody that's unranked like Norma Dumont, who's making her UFC debut, beating her, that's going to give you false confidence, which it did. After she won that fight, after she won the Dos Santos fight, she's sitting there like, she's hyped up, feeling like, I want the title shot. But there's like levels, there's so many levels between a Norma Dumont and Amanda Nunes. So when you fight a Norma Dumont, then you jump in with Amanda Nunes, of course you're going to be shook because you never fought the in-between. You never fought the in-between to build up that confidence and the skill level. So going to Bellator, maybe if you do fight Arlene Blenko, Julia Budd, and Janae Harding, some of these other fighters, Leslie Smith, you fight a couple of these fighters and then work your way up. Maybe that would help build your confidence for a Chris Cyborg fight. Maybe. So those are options for her. And if she don't want to fight anymore either, I mean, that's fine too. I mean, because fighting combat sports is like 97% mental. And, you know, from the way she reacted to the Amanda Nunes fight, and even calling out Cyborg before and making that fight, you know, she didn't react like somebody that really wanted those fights. Even when she got into the octagon with Amanda Nunes, she didn't really react like somebody that wanted it, like that wanted to, you know, kill or be killed. She didn't have that in her when she took the fight. So commentating, there's commentating. You be a UFC commentator, and if Invicta commentator, go to Bellator and commentate, PFL and commentate. If you don't want to, you know, if you don't want to be that fighter anymore, if you feel like you don't have it in you, you know. About the e-gaming thing, you know, she's always online doing that. So there's a career in, well, I won't say a career in Twitch, but, you know, there's money in it. There's income in that. You know, there's so many other things you could do besides fighting. I mean, fighting takes a lot. I mean, having a good right hand and having power, yeah, that's one thing, but you got to want it, and you got to want to kill or be killed to be in this game. So for Megan Anderson being out of this UFC contract, from the outside looking in, I think it's a good thing, because again, it won't continue to push her in a non-structured division and, you know, fight these, you know, unranked fighters that, you know, like I said, there's anarchy in this division. It's just everywhere. You won't continue to just, you know, fight fights and then after that get a false confidence and then fight for a belt again that, you know, you're not fit to challenge for, you know. So it's going to be kind of like a back to square one thing. You know, it just sucks that it took like almost 3 years, almost 3.5 years for that to happen, you know, because, you know, since she's been signed to the UFC, like I said, there was really no growth in her. There was more growth from her starting as a prospect to a contender to a champion in Invicta, but when she crossed over to the UFC, I feel like most of that was just kind of lost. There was really no growth in her as a fighter. And, you know, I'm just saying, from the outside looking in, that's what I saw. And I mean, the results showed Saturday night. So yeah, man, I just kind of wanted to go back and give you my thoughts on Megan Anderson as a whole, and, you know, like I said, about the featherweight division, which I'll talk about again, you know, because I do want to see a division be built. And yeah, man, Megan Anderson, UFC, you know, letting her go or no longer in contract and not re-signing, that's a good thing. Go to Bellator, PFL. Let me know, guys, what y'all think. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.